Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Ahmedabad today to take stock of the situation and also meet the lone survivor and also the other people injured in the fateful crash. Meanwhile, a large-scale DNA sampling drive is underway to identify the victims of the airplane crash in Ahmedabad. Forensic teams are working continuously to identify victims of the Air India plane crash, and DNA test results are expected within 72 hours. Now let's get you up to speed about all that's transpired leading up to this moment. A London-bound passenger jet crashed in Ahmedabad on Thursday, killing at least 265 people on board and on the ground. One passenger has miraculously survived. 40-year-old Ramesh Kumar is the sole survivor of the crash. Now, the government has opened a formal investigation into the cause of the crash. Air India CEO Campbell Wilson arrived at the plane crash site today. Now, rescue teams are working into Friday morning, scouring the charred wreckage with sniffer dogs. Alongside Deputy Commissioner of Police Kanan Desai, who has told reporters that 265 bodies have reached the hospital. India's Civil Aviation Authority said that 2 pilots and 10 cabin crew members were among the 242 people on board. Well, Air India said that there were 169 Indian passengers, 53 British passengers, 7 Portuguese and a Canadian national on board the flight bound for London's Gatwick Airport. Now, that suggests that at least 24 people died when the jet ploughed into a medical staff hostel in a blazing fireball, and that the toll may rise further as more bodies are located. As of right now, the number we're getting is 265. It's the number that we've received, and of the total people who have lost their lives in the crash so far. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that the scenes from the crash were devastating, while the country's King Charles III said he was desperately shocked.
The investigation is going on. We've dispatched an investigation team that's been deployed. The Foreign Secretary is leading on this, and we'll obviously update as soon as we can. But we're working with the Indian authorities on this to establish the facts. I would say to all families, friends of anybody affected to please contact the Foreign Office for further information.
Our principal correspondent Disha Shah has sent us this report from Ground Zero on this tragedy in Ahmedabad. Take a look.
In an absolute shocking and an unfortunate incident where more than 200 people lost their lives and many people have been injured in a plane crash which has been termed as aviation's worst plane crashes of all time. Here we are talking about an Air India flight which took off from the Ahmedabad airport, which was on the way to London. It crashed right here at the very specific same spot which we are showing you. This is the doctor's hostel. There are about 5 buildings in as part of this entire medical college is concerned, and every building has been affected. Every building here has faced extensive damage, and specifically the resident doctors who were present inside at the time of the crash also faced either casualties or injuries, because that official number is yet to be ascertained from the official authorities. On the ground level, this is the area from where the plane comes and it takes off. This is where the Ahmedabad airport is, which is just 15 minutes away from the crash site. And when it took off at about 1:40 p.m., within 2 minutes, it crashed right here at one of the doctors' hostels building, where at least more than 50 to 60 resident doctors were having lunch. It was lunchtime, and there were about 242 passengers on board, including 230 passengers, 2 pilots, and 10 crew members and the staff. What we are being told that when the one portion of the flight and the plane crashed, it made a huge impact and damage on the ground level, creating a thick smoke right up on the air. The rescue teams came. More than 400 personnels were doing the rescue operations throughout the day on Thursday. And at about 11:30 p.m. on the night of the incident, the rescue operations were called off for the day, and they said it will be continued the next morning. This, what you can see, is one tail wing of the plane. As you can rightly see, this is what was crashed right up at the doctors' hostels, one of the buildings where the resident doctors were having lunch. And this area, if you talk about, this is also a populated area, because this is where the doctors live, and the treatment also happens here. They also study here. And on the other side, just few meters away, there's a residential housing complex as well. Now, talking about the rescue, there were police personnel, fire brigade team of NDRF, SDRF, Indian Army, everyone on the spot to remove the debris, and it took about 10 to 12 hours for them to clear 80% of the debris removal work, is what we are being told, and 20% will be carried and continued on Friday morning. As of now, all of them which suffered injuries or casualties were taken and rushed right from this very crash site to the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital, which is about 15 minutes away from this specific location. And right now also you can see that it is about 12 a.m. and on the day of the incident, and you can see the police personnel are still on the ground. We can see more than 200 police personnel who are managing and guarding this entire crash site so that no other person apart from the rescue team can enter. On the other
the latest that we're getting, we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived at Ahmedabad, and he's currently meeting with the victims of the crash, along with the lone survivor who survived this deadly crash. His name, well, along with the other passengers who have survived, the PM has already taken a stock of the situation on the crash site, post which he has gone ahead to the hospital to meet the victims and get an understanding as to what the situation is like at the hospital right now. But before this, the PM was at the crash site and he oversaw the operation and got briefed about the operation, where the debris were cleared at the crash site, which continued overnight in its last stages. Well, as of Thursday, the search was still on for the Air India flight's black box, which is also, we know, has been recovered. The visuals you're seeing on your screens are from PM Modi visiting the victims at the hospital right now. These are visuals from the civil hospital in Ahmedabad, where the victims were taken to after they were rescued from the crash site. And this is PM Modi being briefed by the doctors as to the situation that's in the hospital right now. And to discuss more, we are now being joined by Dr. Vandana Singh from New Delhi. She is chairperson at Aviation Cargo Federation of Aviation Industry in India. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us on the broadcast on WION World this morning.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's an honor. Thank you.
Ma'am, now that we know that the black box has been recovered and Boeing has also sent their team for helping in the investigation, can you walk us through what we should expect in the days coming by in terms of the timeline and the procedure?
Absolutely. I believe there is going to be a thorough investigation. We believe there are experts from the Boeing that are already here or on the way here. We know that for sure that the US is assisting us. UK is sending its own team of experts, and along with our experts and the black box data, the voice data recorder that has been recovered, this is going to give us the exact sequence of events that happened inside just moments before the crash and the reasons that there was no way out but for it to turn into a ball of fire and collapse. Having said that, of course, we know that the passenger on 11 Alpha survived, and he's talking of a blast just 30 seconds after takeoff. We do know that the aircraft took the full length of the runway, which a Dreamliner, a robust aircraft, requires, that did. But then the thrust never happened, the lift never happened, flaps were questionable, and I still maintain, and actually I was making a note of it, that this looks like a full FedEx failure, which is a full authority digital engine control failure, which means complete software electrical malfunction that happened. And by this time, 70 to 80%, it was also on the takeoff speed. It could not have retracted back, and this caused this crash. Of course, it's going to reveal, the black box is going to reveal the exact cause of the crash, but I still maintain what I have said. Over to you.
Right, ma'am. And there are a few key elements that investigators say will be crucial in understanding the cause. Of course, the black box data is one, testimony from the sole survivor is another, and the CCTV footage that is surfaced are, of course, crucial markers for us to understand what actually happened. And from your perspective, how much weight will each of these carry in the final probe?
This is going to carry a lot of weightage. We know that the Dreamliner has got a very good health record so far. A lot of airlines all over the world employ Dreamliners. And this is one of the most catastrophic crash that has happened over here on this flight. But I also hear of the incoming flight, which is the same equipment that flew in from Delhi to Ahmedabad. And the same equipment took off to Gatwick post that there were malfunctions in there, that there were software issues, that the air conditioning was not functioning, that the entertainment system was not functioning, that it was very hot inside. So there were certain glitches which were already there. Of course, when the aircraft was checked in Ahmedabad, I am pretty sure that the authorities, the maintenance, the teams, the engineering teams did their bit to make sure that there is no fault. Otherwise, the aircraft would not have taken off. The checks were all complete and done. Having said that, the statement from these four is going to make a lot of impact in constructing the entire sequence of events by the investigators. But I do expect a total failure that happened just when the flight took off, when the lift did not happen. And there are enough warning systems on this aircraft, and if the flaps were up, then the aircraft would have never gone up, because the flying pilot, and there's a monitoring pilot, would have actually not allowed it at all. So yes, a lot of questions need to be answered, and these four survivors are definitely going to give us and reveal certain crucial points. Over to you.
Right, ma'am. And while we're talking about the health record of the Dreamliner, do you think it's also crucial to talk about that how the Ahmedabad incident is the first hull loss involving a Boeing 787? The Dreamliner has in fact been at the center of controversy since a while now. And does this raise questions about the structural integrity of the aircraft, according to you?
It does. I think that we now need zero tolerance. Of course, we are in an industry, accidents happen, incidents happen, but at the same time, with technology advancing by the second as it is crucial and pertinent that there is zero tolerance. So definitely, these are going to be raised. Boeing is answerable. There have been accidents before, not with the Dreamliner dash 787 dash series, but of course with others. So yes, there are questions to be answered. And since, of course, Air India here involved has ordered so many other Boeings already, which are in the process of being manufactured and being sent to us, the question arises that they better have their act right and make sure that there is zero tolerance. Over to you.
Right. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective with us. Of course, we'll have to wait for the final investigation report to analyze and understand what actually caused the fatalities that have shocked the nation.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you.
Well, this is what we know so far. Right now, as we're speaking, a large DNA sampling drive is already underway in Ahmedabad to identify the victims of the airplane crash. And the forensic teams are working continuously to identify victims of the Air India plane crash. It happened when a London-bound passenger jet crashed in Ahmedabad on Thursday, killing at least 265 people. Now, that's the official figure we have so far, who were on board and on the ground. And out of these people, one passenger has miraculously survived. 40-year-old Ramesh Kumar is the sole survivor of the crash. The government has opened a formal investigation into the cause of the crash. And Air India CEO Campbell Wilson has arrived at the plane crash site today as well. Rescue teams are working well into Friday afternoon, scouring the charred wreckage with sniffer dogs. And we have the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Kanan Desai, who has told reporters that 265 bodies have reached the hospital. We also saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting the victims in the hospital, in the civil hospital today, after he had taken a stock of the situation at the crash site in Ahmedabad. Well, according to data, Air India has said that there were 169 Indian passengers, 53 British, 7 Portuguese and a Canadian national on board the flight bound for London's Gatwick Airport. Now, that suggests that at least 24 people died when the jet ploughed into a medical staff hostel in a blazing fireball, and that the toll may rise further as more bodies are located.